What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronica and we discuss lifestyle and mental health content here on this channel. Today is Tuesday, May 14th, and the theme of the week is all about time and time management. Have you ever felt like you didn't have enough time in the day to do all of the things? Well, that's because it's true. There is not enough time in the day to do everything. But if we prioritize our time, if we schedule our events properly, it'll be easier for you to get more things done. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We are going to talk about 5 tips to improve your time management and productivity. Tip number 1, write things down. So if you're like me and you've ever felt like you've had so many things going on in your head at once, it was about to explode. It was about to, right? How do we overcome that overwhelm and keep our head from feeling like it's overfull? There's only so much you can remember. And if you write things down, it frees up space in your brain to do other things. You don't feel like you have to keep this running task list in your head because you have it stored on paper, on your digital calendar, or in your computer. So that is the first tip. And when I think about this, I always think about the movie Alice in Wonderland and the evil queen, and she's making a list of all of these important things in her head that aren't really that important. She says, that's important, write that down.
Dory, write that down.
It helps. If something's important and you need to remember it and it's taking up valuable real estate in your mind, it might be worth writing it down, especially if you're not going to do it right away, right? Then you don't have to try to remember it. It's already being stored for you on a piece of paper. So that brings us to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is all about prioritization. So we talked about the fact that we can't do everything all at once, right? We need to make sure that we spread things out over time, and we want to make sure that we're writing things down, but we also want to make sure that we're doing the hardest tasks first. So, or by sense of urgency. So if you have something that's time sensitive, you want to focus on those things first, and then right after that, you want to focus on what might be the hardest for you to get done, and make sure that you do those things, those difficult tasks, first or during your most productive time of the day. And that brings us to tip number 3. Tip number 3, set a time limit. So after we've taken the time to write everything down, we've prioritized the most urgent tasks that we need to get done throughout our day, throughout the week. Tip number 3 is going to help you make sure that you don't run out of time during the day. So if you are one of those people, and this was me when I first started trying to manage my time and organize my time, I would have my list of things that I needed to get done throughout the day, and then I wouldn't allow myself to move to the next thing until I had finished the one that was before it. But sometimes we get stuck, right? Sometimes we need to shift and move on to the next thing, even if we're not done with the first one. So if I have 10 things or 5 things on my to-do list for that day, and I'm on task number 2, instead of sitting there until I can't focus anymore and spending 5 hours on the one task, you have time limits, and it shouldn't be more than 1 hour before you move to the next task. Or you separate, if it's a larger task, you can separate that into chunks, but to remember to give yourself a set amount of time to do the thing, so that you don't feel overwhelmed and you can get more things done. Tip number 4. Tip number 4 is to remember to take breaks, right? You are not a machine, but even if we were thinking about machines, even a machine would need a break. Your computer would need a break. Your car would need a tune-up. You want to make sure that you're taking care of your physical/mental computer and getting up every hour or so to take a quick 1, 2 minute, 5, 10, 15 minute break. So that could be getting up to stretch, getting up to go for a walk, and then coming back and sitting down to refocus. The more time we give ourselves to take a break when we need it, the more quality work we're going to be able to produce, because we've given ourselves enough time to reset. Okay, So then if you're thinking about your computer, for example, and you have multiple apps open on your computer, right? If you had 50 things going on up on your screen all at once, your computer gets overloaded. And it's the same with your headspace. So if you're trying to work on a task and you've been sitting there for 1, 2, 3 hours and you haven't taken a break, your mind is going to process information a little bit slower. It's not going to be as efficient as it would be if you had taken the time to give yourself a break, step away for a minute, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and allow yourself to close those applications that you have open in your brain and reset so you can come back refreshed and ready to be productive and process information more efficiently. So tip number 5. Tip number five is our final tip, and it's all about setting an appointment with yourself. So we talked about time management and writing things down, making sure that we prioritize what's urgent and then what's important, and then what's going to be the most difficult thing for us to do, and to make sure that we do that at our optimal performance time of the day. We talked about setting time limits and making sure that we're doing whatever we promised ourselves we were going to do for however long we said that we were going to do it. And 9 times out of 10, that's not going to be all day. If you have 10 things that you need to get done, you can only spend a certain amount of time on each task and not go over that. Setting time limits for yourself ahead of time will help with that. We talked about taking breaks to make sure that we don't get overwhelmed. So if tip number 5 is all about setting an appointment with yourself, that means you are making your time management a priority. You're making yourself a priority. So once a week, or at least once a day, we want to take some time to sit down with ourselves and budget our time so that we can make sure we're on track to get things done that we need to get done that are going to help us get closer to achieving our goals. And when it comes to scheduling an appointment with yourself to manage your time, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's not just saying, oh, we want to make sure that we do this every day with no set time blocked off for that. We want to make sure that we have time set aside specifically for that activity, because it's one of the most important activities that you can set for yourself each day, is that time management block. So when you're doing that, you can also include your planner time in there, but you want to make sure that if you can master this one skill, it can dramatically change all of the other areas of your life, right? Because if you're taking the time to write down what you need to get done, and you're taking the time to budget your time, you can make sure that you're working on those things when you want to, and then you can look back and take inventory and see what's working well, what might not be working so well. So if maybe you have time to tidy in the morning, but you need to have time, 15 minutes of tidying in the morning and then in the evening before the kids go to bed so that they can help out. We want to make sure that we're doing things, right, when we're budgeting our time, that we are creating systems that will help save us time in the long run. They'll help save you time, they'll help save you peace, and they'll save you from having so much anxiety. Yeah, and hopefully make you feel better in the long run because you're more productive and you have more free time. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.